The alarm bell blares, but a more primal part of us whispers a warning. Staying in the warmth of our comfortable dream feels safer than facing the cold light of the day. It's a battle that I, and likely you, fight every day. An exhausting tug of war between the promises of sleep and the demands of the waking world. What if you could win this fight? Not with brute force, but by understanding the secret language of your body. Welcome back, folks, to Peace Unplugged, the podcast dedicated to helping you find calm, clarity, and control in our always on world. Today, I'm exploring something fundamental, yet often overlooked. That is our body's waking and sleeping cycle. We're going to explore the chemicals that dictate when we are alert and when we are dreaming, and crucially, how to manage for optimal brain health and overall well-being. I've created this episode through considerable research as well as my own knowledge from my career prior to my retirement. Now, our bodies are masters of rhythm. Just like the tide ebbs and flows, so too do our internal states, governed by what scientists call our circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythms are internal, roughly 24-hour cycles that regulate sleep, hormone release, metabolism, and behavior. These rhythms are governed by a master clock in the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, also known as SCN, which synchronizes with the environment like light. Neurotransmitters play a critical role in both maintaining and modulating these rhythms, impacting brain health and overall well-being. Key neurotransmitters in circadian rhythm. Here, I'll explain each of them. First is glutamate. This acts as a primary signal from the retina to the SCN, helping synchronize the clock to light dark cycles. Astrocytes also release glutamate, contributing to the timekeeping and the SCN function. GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid, the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the SCN. GABA helps us fine-tune the timing volume of circadian rhythms, balancing the signals. Dopamine modulates the circadian rhythms in several brain regions, including the retina and the hypothalamus. That's the part of the brain which acts as the body's control center. Dopamine's rhythmic activity influences clock gene expression and interacts with GABA to regulate when to switch on. Like a light switch, serotonin serves as the precursor to melatonin, the gets you to sleep chemical, modulates mood and the circadian phase, linking sleep-wake cycles to our emotional health. Adrenaline and cortisol. These stress hormones have circadian patterns, peaking in the morning, promote alertness, and gradually declining throughout the day. Their rhythms are regulated by the SCN and impact immune and metabolic functions. Melatonin, that's produced at night. Melatonin signals the body to prepare for sleep and helps synchronize the body clock. This 24-hour internal clock is largely influenced by light and darkness, setting the stage for complex interplay of neurotransmitters and hormones. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of when and where the chemicals work. The waking cycle. Let's start with the morning, when the world awakens, and hopefully so do you and I. As the sun rises or light enters your eyes, a crucial shift begins. The hormone melatonin, often called the hormone of darkness, which has been steadily increasing throughout the night to help you to sleep, starts to recede. Its decline signals to your body that it's time to transition from rest to activity. And what takes its place? A surge of activity from various brain chemical players. One of the first on the scene is cortisol. Now, cortisol often gets a bad rap as the stress hormone. But in the morning, it's actually your body's natural alarm clock. It's actually the one that finally gets me out and about. Its levels rise, helping to increase our blood sugar and provide the energy we need to get going. Think of it like the internal espresso shot, ideally without the jitters. Alongside cortisol, another powerful neurotransmitter makes its presence known. That is dopamine. This is our reward chemical, and it plays a huge role in motivation, pleasure, and focus. A healthy morning spike in dopamine can make you feel alert, engaged, and ready to tackle the day. It helps you to anticipate the good things ahead and drive you to achieve them. As the day progresses, when you're facing a challenge or feeling excited, your adrenal glands release adrenaline. This is the fight or flight hormone, which increases heart rate. It boosts blood flow to your muscles and sharpens your senses, giving you that immediate burst of energy and focus. While essential for acute situations, chronic high levels of adrenaline can be detrimental, leading to anxiety and exhaustion. The sleeping cycle. As evening approaches and light dwindles, our body's chemistry begins its graceful shift towards rest. This is where serotonin comes into. Serotonin is often associated with mood and well-being, but it also serves as a precursor to melatonin. As daylight fades, serotonin levels can be converted into melatonin, gently preparing our brain for sleep. Adequate serotonin levels are crucial for mood stability and the ability to relax. To further facilitate relaxation and sleep, our brains start to increase the activity of GABA, or gamma aminobutyric acid. GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. Think of it like the brain's natural tranquilizer. It slows down nerve activity, quietening the constant chatter in your mind, and helps us feel calm and ready to drift off. Another key player is glutamate. This is known as the primary excitatory neurotransmitter. During the day, glutamate is essential for learning and memory formation, helping neurons communicate rapidly. But as night falls, the balance shifts, and GABA's calming influence takes precedence over glutamate's effects, allowing your brain to wind down. The brain health connection. This is about focusing on the amygdala. This delicate balance of excitatory and inhibitory chemicals is crucial for overall brain health, particularly for the amygdala. The amygdala, often called the brain's emotional control center, is responsible for processing fear and emotional responses. During a state of chronic stress or sleep deprivation, the constant presence of cortisol and adrenaline can make the amygdala hyperactive. This leads to a heightened state of anxiety and reactivity as the brain perceives non-threatening situations as dangers. The lack of restful sleep, which is governed by GABA and melatonin, means that the amygdala doesn't get a chance to reset. When the balance of calming GABA to glutamate is off, the amygdala remains on high alert, making it difficult to regulate emotions and leading to that vicious cycle of anxiety and poor sleep. Next, the contentious role of caffeine, something I try to avoid as much as possible, simply because it's not good for my heart. So now let's talk about the world's most popular psychoactive substance. Its role in the cycle, both helpful and at times harmful. Caffeine is a stimulant that works by blocking the effects of the molecule called adenosine, which builds up in your brain the longer you're awake. Adenosine naturally promotes tiredness by binding to receptors on nerve cells, slowing down their activity and preparing your body for sleep. Caffeine, however, acts as an imposter, binding to these same receptors and preventing adenosine from doing its job. This leads to increased alertness and a temporary boost in performance. However, caffeine doesn't stop adenosine from being produced. It just keeps it from being detected. So when the caffeine wears off, we're hit with a crash as all the accumulated adenosine suddenly floods the receptors, leading to intense feelings of fatigue. Regular high caffeine consumption can also mess with your natural cortisol rhythm, causing you to rely on it to wake up rather than your body's own natural system. This disrupts our sleep and wake cycle, and in some cases contributes to increased anxiety by keeping adrenaline and cortisol levels elevated. I think for me in the past, that's clearly what caused a lot of anxiety. Okay, so how do we manage the cycle? So here's a suggestion. And it's a difficult one, I know. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This reinforces your circadian rhythm and helps to regulate the natural rise and fall of melatonin and cortisol. It's suggesting optimize your light exposure. Get plenty of light in the morning. That'll kickstart cortisol and dopamine production and suppress melatonin. So it's a good idea to perhaps, when you get up and get dressed, go for a short walk and get as much light as possible. That's easier said in the summer, less easier during the winter. But even a little bit of light is worth actually getting into the brain. In the evening, dim the lights. And it's suggested that we avoid blue screens for at least an hour before we go to bed. So it's a good idea really to switch off the TV and avoid the mobile phone or the laptop or whatever it is that we like to look at late at night. It will allow melatonin to rise naturally. We're back to caffeine again. Suggestion is to mind your intake of caffeine. Have your last cup of caffeine, coffee or tea, whatever it might be, no later than early afternoon. For most people, that would be around 2 p.m. This gives the body ample time to clear it out so it doesn't interfere with the body's natural shift to producing melatonin. So managing stress. Chronic stress keeps cortisol and adrenaline levels elevated. That disrupts sleep and the wake cycle, impacting on our brain health. So as I said before, it's useful to incorporate stress reducing practices like meditation, deep breathing, or gentle exercise. Understanding the roles of these key molecules is not just academic, it's also empowering. By working with our body's natural rhythms rather than against them, we can unlock a profound sense of peace and vitality. Thank you for joining me today on Peace Unplugged. May your days be alert and your nights be restorative. Until next time, keep unplugging and keep finding your calm.